This ultimate charge nerf that's currently being tested on the PTR server, I think is a much bigger deal than some people are giving it credit for. This could have a significant impact on several aspects of the game. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I am referring to the ultimate cost being increased by 25% for all heroes. This is a change that is currently being tested on the PTR. Now, I'd like to clarify that Blizzard has come out and stated they're trying some big things with this testing period, and not all of them will make it through testing unscathed to the live servers. But that doesn't mean that they're making changes for the hell of it all willy-nilly. This is something that they're obviously seriously considering. And the implications of it are so dramatic that it's something that I assume that they've thought through at least to some degree. And as a result, I think it's worth discussing here. So what I'd like to do is dive into what this change would mean for the game and talk about both the positive and the negative effects that it's going to have. So let's just go right into it. First of all, a flat increase by 25% for all heroes. The basic fundamental change is it's going to slow down the game. It's going to take the emphasis away from the ultimate play and put more focus on skill-based gameplay, because while ultimates are great and bombastic and fun to watch, they're also in many situations an I win button. Having a flat increase in ultimate charge puts more focus on that non-ultimate engagement period. Now, the two main ways it does it, the first one is, again, making ultimates more valuable. Since there will be fewer ultimates per match, there is more emphasis on properly using them. If you know it's going to be another 2 or 3 minutes before you get your ultimate back, you're going to be a lot more reserved in its use. You're going to try to be more coordinated. It makes it much more valuable, and I think that also really feeds into what Blizzard wants ultimates to be, given their design and how powerful a lot of them are, like Earthshatter, like Graviton, like Death Blossom. These are all insanely strong ultimates. They want them to be powerful and feel impactful, and if you reduce the number of ultimates per game, it definitely puts more emphasis on them being these big tide-changing events. The second big effect that this has on it is a shift towards more skirmishing. It's going to be more of a focus on skillful gameplay, awareness, and gunplay. Your aiming, your basic kit is a lot more important if you're going to be using a lot less ultimates in every match. Now, what this also indirectly does is buff heroes who are less reliant on their ultimates. Take a hero like McCree, for example. His basic weapon and his basic kit are very, very strong. Even if he didn't have Deadeye, McCree is still a powerful hero. So someone like him or someone like Reaper, who has just a strong base kit and strong weapons, become a lot stronger if ultimates are used less often. And this would also in turn possibly result in there being more non-ultimate pushes. A lot of times this game revolves at the moment around both teams building up ultimates and then engaging when they feel like they'll have an advantage. But if it's taking this much longer to charge them, teams might not want to wait around for that, and there might be more engagements with just your base attack and your base skills. And I think that would make the game a bit more interesting. Now, all of this stuff that I mentioned also has a flip side, and there are some negative effects. As I mentioned, it slows down the game, but that can be a problem in that it draws out engagements for too long. And this is a big advantage for defense on certain maps like Hanamura or King's Row, where they already have an advantage. They've got better positioning, they've got high ground options, and the flanking routes are easy to keep track of because there's only a couple of them. On these maps, it tends to be the case that attacking teams rely on their ultimates to push. And if it takes longer to get those ultimates, it would mean it takes longer to effectively do your push, and as a result, it takes longer to cap the first point. This gives an innate advantage to the defending team that already has an advantage. And on the flip side of ultimates becoming more valuable and more impactful, this would also potentially mean that players are more reluctant to swap heroes. Since it takes longer to charge up your ultimate, that process of ultimate charge becomes more valuable, and if you're 75% of the way, you're going to be more reluctant to swap a hero because it could be another 2 or 3 minutes before that new hero even has a chance to use their ultimate. And then, as I mentioned, this shift to focus on the skirmishing with less ultimate gameplay wombo combos and more time spent with your base kit, it's a buff to someone like McCree, for example, but it also becomes a nerf to heroes who are more focused on their ultimate use. Take Mercy. Mercy's base kit isn't great, so if it's taking a much longer time to charge her ultimate and her base kit is bad compared to other healers, I mean, think about it. Think about Mercy's base kit. Heal, damage boost, and she's she's got a skill that doesn't really do anything besides move her. It doesn't help her team at all. Whereas we've got Lucio, who's constantly attacking and dealing damage, speed boosting, and healing his team. You've got Zenyatta, who's constantly dealing pretty significant damage. He's got Discord Orb, or even Ana. Sleep Dart, her grenade, she's got the better healing. Ultimates are being used less frequently per match. The heroes who are better without their ultimates, who have the stronger base kits, are much stronger. Ultimately, if they do decide to go through with this ultimate nerf, I like the idea that they're trying to slow down the game and put more emphasis on these non-ultimate engagements, put more emphasis on the skill-based gameplay rather than just hitting the I win buttons. But there are some negative consequences that they're going to have to address, like how it affects certain heroes more than others, or how it'll be harder for attacking teams to push on certain maps. They can address the hero-specific issue by further tweaking ultimates for certain heroes that need it, and when it comes to the attacking teams having a harder time on certain maps, what they could end up doing to fix this or to compensate for it is tweaking things like the point capture time or payload movement speed. If it's going to take the attacking team longer to capture the first point or to start pushing the payload, that could be compensated with those small tweaks. One of the last things that I do want to mention about this potential change, though, is a big positive, and that would be the game would become easier to follow from a viewer standpoint. As it stands, ultimate spam absolutely clutters the screen with particle effects every 30 to 40 seconds, compared to traditional shooters, which just have basic gunplay, maybe an ability here or there, and some grenades. Overwatch is a very, very busy and hectic game. Slowing things down and having more emphasis and fewer ultimates per match would make it, I think, easier to follow and more enjoyable from a viewer standpoint. And that's an important thing because esports is really big when it comes to the future growth of this game. Of any game, really. A lot of the casual audience who just picked up the game when it first launched because they saw advertisements or because their friends were playing it, they'll eventually stop playing. The game's marketing will stop, but Blizzard's not going to pour millions and millions of dollars into further advertisements. And in the future, a lot of your game's continued growth comes from the community and from big events on Twitch and YouTube videos as well. Take, for example, some of the big esports right now: League of Legends, Dota 2, CSGO. These are games that continue to grow year after year because the game itself and the esports community builds exposure and gets people excited about it. So if we want the game to grow in the future, we do need to try to make sure we foster their attempts at making this game a better viewer experience. But I'll be diving further into the esports side of this game in a future video. That's not the focus here. The focus is this change. As I said, I do like it fundamentally, but there are things that they're going to need to address if they move forward with this ultimate nerf. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for me here today. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the video. Hope you all have a fantastic afternoon, and until next time, I'll see you later.